Hi, friends. This is Bijou Baker. I'm Maria. I have recently received a lot of emails asking me um, to tell you about myself. Okay. I got one email. Hold on. Let me make you comfortable. Okay. I have one email. I want to say her name is Brenda, so I will. Brenda, Brenda, thank you for watching. I mean, you watched. Her letter was, it was ugly. I'm not going to lie. Let's see, she asked me, who do you think you are that you can stand up there and teach? Are you a professional chef? What right do you have to come into my home and infringe on my time? Well, damn. Here I was thinking I was just out having a good time. I didn't realize I had the power to piss people off by breathing. Brenda, first off, really, thank you for watching. I mean, you watched more than once and more than a minute, so I would never, ever infringe on anyone's time or space where I was not welcome. So thank you for welcoming me into your home. Now, to the questions that others have asked, let's go ahead and let's find out who the heck is the Bijou Baker. I'll start off personal, get that out of the way, and then get into the fun stuff. I'm going to be 59 years old next month. Yeah, that happened fast. I'm number 12 of 14 kids. Grew up in Southern California in the city of Santa Ana. Very poor. We struggled, but clearly we turned out okay. I have moved to Arizona in July, 6 months ago. I have no great, there's nothing spectacular about me at all. I'm bold. And I've been told I'm ballsy. So I have no problem taking a chance, and I would much rather take a chance and fail than to wonder. That I think I said once, the weight of regret is so much heavier than the weight of failure, and yeah, that I think that's true. Um, I am a caregiver. I've had many different jobs, and I've always been, I wonder what it's like to do that. So I'd go do it. I used to sell cars. Oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of stories just in that. But I wanted to know what was behind the screen, you know? So I went and I learned about cars, and I sold cars, and I don't sell cars anymore. I did it for about 8 months, and I'm going, okay, that's my limit. But there are some fun stories. Oy, fun stories there. Strange things happen to me. Oh my goodness, strange. I'm a magnet for strange things. But they make great stories, so I don't care. This is so off the cuff, guys. You know, I didn't plan on doing this, but quite frankly, that letter pissed me off, so let me answer it. Let's see, I've been taking care of Lynn for 5 years now. I used to take care of another elderly woman. The feisty German woman. Oh my goodness! But I ended up doing that for 10 years, longer than I expected to. I've had many different jobs. This one, Lynn, is quite a treasure to me. So I really like this one, and she's the reason we moved to Arizona. You know, she wasn't. California was just getting to be too much for her. So, Lynn, let's leave. She goes, I thought I'd leave this house in a body bag. Okay, well, you didn't. So we love it here. It was a very easy transition. And I've been doing YouTube for just over, well, about a year and a half, about a year and a half. And man, oh man, am I having a blast. Professionally, okay, I am not a professionally trained chef. I am not. I have great reverence for that title. I have great respect for that title. Um, Maybe one day when I grow up, I'll take culinary art school, but that's not in my agenda or my uh, finances. That thing's expensive, but good schooling would be. I've known people who've taken culinary, they've gone through the whole course and they work in other jobs out, not even close to the food industry, so it's like, okay, okay. I have been baking and cooking since I was 8 years old, and my mom had me, not baking really, but cooking. My mom had 8 girls, and so we were up early in the morning. My older sisters were making tortillas, and I'd stand on a chair and I would flip them over with a spatula, until you finally, you get older and you just use your fingers, and there's just like no feeling in your fingertips after a while. And anything that a 12 or 13-year-old could do in the kitchen, my mom had us doing, and cleaning and everything. I mean, she had 8 little house helpers, so we became quite good at it. All my sisters are very good cooks. But none of them like to bake. They'll bake, but they don't have that same love for it. And funny thing is, you will have, most people will either be a great cook, but they don't bake, or a great baker and they don't cook. My brain doesn't see a separation. It's just kitchen. Let's go have fun. Let's go make something good. So you'll get that once in a while, but it's pretty rare. And I love that I have that bug. Like I said, I'm not professionally trained. I am self-taught. And I have this burn in me that as soon as I don't know something, I really have to go learn about it. Example, and this is kind of a fun example for me. If you don't know, my niece is Beauty and the Stamper, Jean Persanti. You should check out her videos. She is amazing. She is just amazing. And I used to babysit her when she was, itty bitty. I mean, she was my baby. I just could not stand being away from her. And she would watch me diligently when I was doing crafts and stuff like this. And my brother had once said, you can make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. And it took me years to understand what that meant. But I was creative because I knew what I wanted, and I knew we couldn't afford it. So I'd make something up to get the end result. And it was, for me, even now, the end result is always my starting point. I don't know why, but it works for me. So she, where was I going with Jean? Oh, she came over and she did a video with me. I'll show it to you below, the link to that video. It's kind of fun. Or up here. I'll show it to you. I was showing her how to make, I'm telling you, I did not have my Wheaties today. I don't remember what I was going to say. She made a cheese platter, charcuterie, and part of it was puff pastry stuffed with brie and jalapeno jelly, mango jalapeno jelly. Oh, so good, so good. So I'm showing her what to do. She's doing everything, and I'm just kind of giving her directions step by step. And she takes out the brie, and she asks, she goes, well, what is the stuff around the brie? What is that white stuff? And I didn't know. So there we go. Mission number 1, to find out what the heck that is. It turns out it's mold, and it's a good mold. I found a cheese making class. I took cheese making 101 in brie, and I've taken like 6 other classes, and I just caught fire on that cheese making. And it all started because she asked a question I didn't have an answer to. So we're gonna make cheese, you and I, one day, and I'm telling you, it's gonna blow you away how easy it is and how delicious it is. Okay, Maria, get back to the topic. You don't understand. Well, obviously I fidget because I can't be in the kitchen all the time. I have had my own bakery. I've been a cake decorator for let's see, my daughter's 35. My daughter's in her 30s. I started taking my first cake decorating class when she was 3 months old. And that was it. That did it for me. I mean, I have always known that I loved watching cake decorating and baking. I have loved it. We used to have a place called, or a guy drive around in the Helms Bakery. Do you guys remember the Helms Bakery truck? It was just a truck, and like the ice cream man, but he had pastries, cupcakes, cookies galore, just all sorts of wonderful yummies. And now this is a child explaining this, okay? We would be out playing and we'd hear that specific horn and we'd stop. I would stop. All the neighborhood kids would stop. We could never afford such luxuries as a cookie or a donut or something like that. I didn't even ask. I knew it, so it's all right. But the smell when he opened up those two doors was free. So I was the first one right in his way. He always had me move over. You need to get over. All right, fine. But I wanted to have that aroma just attack me. And man, that did it for me. That did it for me. And since those smells, I was hooked on bakeries and stuff. And I remember he'd pull out the trays and they were wide as a van, a truck, and his several layers. And they would just, I think he went 3 blocks past. They were forever long. That was what made me want to be a baker. And so thank you, Helms Bakery Truck. I've been working in many bakeries and stores, and I learned a lot from stores. What I do want to do and what I don't want to do. And I don't want to eat those cakes. I have no problem testing my stuff out on friends and strangers, and I've worked diligently on my recipes. I have worked for years, spent hundreds of hours, hundreds of dollars to perfect that recipe, and that means a lot to me. And when you taste that compared to something else, you kind of understand, and it's worth it. I'm so drifting, I don't even know where my thoughts are coming, and I don't even have a margarita. Why don't I have a margarita? So, again, I had a bakery, and this was a really cool venture for me. I was working in a bakery on the mornings, on weekends, I'd be there sometimes at 2 or 3 in the morning, and otherwise it's from like 5. I'd start off at 5. You go in early. So I'd get my orders in, and then I would have my shop that I would go bake at. Now, when I had my orders, it was very time consuming. I had zero time for me, and I left my 8-hour job, went to my shop, got my baking in. Baking a cake for an order, that in itself is very time consuming, because once it's made and baked, it has to cool completely, and nothing was ever frozen in my shop. Everything was made to order, very fresh. So I would sit there often just twiddling my thumbs waiting for this to cool, and I didn't want to rush it cool because it's a different result. I'd finally get them cooled, then I'd get them decorated for the next day's delivery. And we delivered I had a partner, we delivered the orders. So if grandma lived in Wisconsin, but her grandkids lived near me within a 10, 15, 20-mile radius, she'd put in the order. I would send her a picture of the finished cake. I would deliver her cake to her grandson, and I would have a video of her grandson receiving her cake. And that was all just part of the customer service. That part was free. And that part, you can't pay for that part. Grandma in Wisconsin, I mean, she was just, today we're still friends because she was just blown away at what she got to see. So when you go a little beyond for people, they remember it. And that right there, that's my happy place. I love when people smile. So there's so much more to say, and a lot of it's boring. But I started this YouTube channel because I really had so much I wanted to share. Now, what right do I have to infringe? I won't ever infringe. But as far as a right, I don't know that I'm going to call it a right, but I get to. I get to, and all you wonderful people don't seem to mind too much. I mean, if you do, you probably already turned it off. um, but if you're still sticking around, then maybe you kind of wanted to know this stuff too. Uh, I, like I said, I have a great respect for chefs. I have worked with some amazing chefs who have called me to go help with their events, you know, because they know my work and they know that I'm a producer. You know, I'm a worker bee. You know, so when you want something done, call a busy person, right? Um, I've I've taken classes. I like the cheese class or something else. It's like, oh, I wonder what that's going to be like. So I go find out, and I make good friends with the people because I'm just in awe of people that know stuff. Even if it's not in the kitchen, I just love intelligence is sexy. I know you know. Um, I I love sharing. I love teaching. I love teaching. I teach because I can. I know my stuff. Don't say that to brag. I'm not. It's not like, oh, I'm just so good, because I'm not. I'm just some average Jane down the road who kind of has a niche for stuff in the kitchen. Seriously, that's about it. But um, I love giving parties. I love showing off foods, and when I ask, you know, I put out a new recipe. It's like, okay, tell me what you think about that. And I have to tell everybody, I'm not telling you for my ego. My ego does not give a rat's booty uh, what it is. But if I'm going to produce something that I want to share, I'm asking for you. You know, is that cheesecake good enough for my friends, for my viewers? Is it good enough for them, or is it just okay? Because if it's okay, it doesn't make it. It does not cut it for me. Every recipe that I've ever perfected, I assure you, it is tried and tried and tried and tested and tried until it's true. I have a cookbook that I have for my granddaughter, and it doesn't, a recipe does not get into that book unless it is Bijou worthy, unless it is Maria worthy. And it takes a lot of work to get there. So, does that have anything to do with anything? Back to personal, I love music, though I have no idea who sings songs. I love dancing, though you'd never know it. But when I'm in the kitchen and I got my music going, and I'm almost always dancing, unfortunately, YouTube does not allow me to use other music. Such restrictions. So otherwise, I'd have the music in the background all the time. But whatever, when it's off, I'm usually dancing. I love helping people. I am happiest when I can surprise somebody with a smile. I'm telling you, there's just not enough of that. I love helping people. I used to be part of a disaster relief team, remember? And that in itself is art. That's another video all in itself. So many interesting stories. But I will try anything within reason. I'm not going to hurt myself, you know, and I'm certainly not going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. But get me on a zip line, baby, for 3 miles, and I'll go over and over. Just like if they could do a zip line like this, just over and over, I'd be as happy as can be. Parasailing, I love heights. I hate falling. Yeah, paradox, I'm telling you. Well, you guys are just the best. I absolutely adore my time with you. I sit and I talk like it's nothing. This was 20 minutes and it feels like 3. Sorry I took up so much of your time. Maybe I am infringing. So there you go. I take a blow. I take a punch. I get up. I punch back. But I'll always smile afterwards. I'm not gonna sweat the small stuff. You are my treasures. You are my absolute treasures, and I thank you. And yes, please keep the questions coming. They really mean a lot to me. And thank you so very, very much for watching my videos and subscribing. And I get to know that you're learning something. And yay us. Okay, I have stuff to do, as do you, and I think we'll go make some lemon curd. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, my friends, until next time, happy baking.
Ah, that was fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe.